Happy Thursday morning. Pouring rain here. Rained all night, overnight. Everything around me is flooded. But so going out and getting breakfast this morning was a little bit of an adventure. More emails from Jeffrey Epstein. Turns out that Donald Trump's first Thanksgiving while in office in 2017, he spent Thanksgiving, at least in part, with Jeffrey Epstein. That was 10 years. That was 10 years after Jeffrey Epstein was first prosecuted for the things that he was doing to children. 10 years after. And it's like, well, everybody's like, well, who knew what, when. Remember all that shit that came out a couple months ago about the birthday book, the book of birthday notes that Ghislaine Maxwell compiled from these people who knew Jeffrey Epstein? That was in 2002, 5 years before Epstein was first prosecuted. And all of these guys knew back then what Jeffrey Epstein was doing. When you saw the birthday notes that they wrote to him, they all knew in 2002 what Jeffrey Epstein was doing to children. They all knew. These are some of the wealthiest, most powerful people in our country, globally. And then that brings us to a guy named Larry Summers, former president of Harvard. He was president of Harvard. He's in that movie, A Social Experiment. He was president of Harvard when the Winklevoss twins tried to have some kind of Harvard investigation into Mark Zuckerberg for stealing their idea for Facebook. And he told the Winklevoss twins, or as they're commonly referred to, the Winklevi, to piss off and get out in the world and grow up. He was Secretary of the Treasury under Bill Clinton. He's formerly the director of the National Economic Council, and he served as president of Harvard from 2001 to 2006. He's still a professor at Harvard, in the Harvard Kennedy School, and was a close personal friend of convicted child sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. In the emails, so Larry Summers' association with Jeffrey Epstein lasted at least 25 years. At least 20 of those years, Larry Summers knew exactly what Jeffrey Epstein was doing, but had him to events at Harvard, connected him with academics and researchers, and consistently took money from Jeffrey Epstein for Harvard, named things at Harvard after Jeffrey Epstein. Their email correspondence between Larry Summers and Jeffrey Epstein goes up through 2019 to just a few months before Jeffrey Epstein died. Larry Summers, still to this day, is considered an expert on economics, the economy, stock market, global economics, yada, yada, yada. He is frequently on CNN, frequently on MSNBC. He's one of the talking head experts that is consistently called upon to go on these shows and these networks. I don't know if he appears on Fox News. He's on CNBC all the time. He is a widely respected economic expert, and he was close friends with Jeffrey Epstein for 20 years, and for at least 20 or for 25 years, and for at least 20 of those years, knew exactly what Jeffrey Epstein was doing to children. He knew, as did Donald Trump, as did Bill Gates, as did all of them. Bill Gates' ex-wife, Melinda Gates, said one of the main driving factors in their divorce was that Bill Gates wouldn't end his friendship and association with Jeffrey Epstein. She knew what he was doing. They all knew what he was doing. Every single one of them knew after 2007 because he was publicly prosecuted for having sex with minors. And all of these associations continued until his death. They all knew. And this country has always had a problem when it comes to holding wealthy, powerful, mainly white men accountable for things like this. For anything, really, but especially for things like this. And we seem to have lost our ability to use shame and shunning in this country. That existed before Donald Trump, but our inability to shun and shame people, or our unwillingness to do so, I think got dramatically worse after the election of Donald Trump, because Donald Trump simply has no shame at all, period. He has no shame. He seems to have a little bit as it relates to Jeffrey Epstein. But only I think because he's concerned that it's going to negatively impact him politically, or negatively impact the Republican Party politically. And I mean, look, the release of these emails, let's say Democrats successfully take the House in the midterms, and that Donald Trump and Republicans have failed in their multi-front effort to steal the House of Representatives elections in 2026. So let's say that it's the first week of January 2027, and and Democrats are now in control of the House of Representatives. They will be in charge of every committee. All of those committees will have subpoena power. They can just start issuing subpoenas to all of the people in these emails and have them testify publicly. Who knew what when? They can subpoena everyone involved from Trump's Department of Justice regarding Ghislaine Maxwell's current prison accommodations. They can subpoena the warden and staff and corrections officers from that federal prison. They can subpoena other inmates at that prison. They can have a multi-committee effort to look into the Jeffrey Epstein situation with DOJ. They can subpoena Pam Bondi, Kash Patel, little Danny Boing Boing, Dan Bongino. They can subpoena the Department of Justice for the Epstein files. That is why Donald Trump is trying to steal the midterms. It is all related. It's all related. And there is no such thing as one thing being a distraction from another thing. That doesn't exist. It's all bullshit. It's all the same shit. It's all connected. So, people like Larry Summers should be publicly shunned for what they did. Same with Bill Gates. Same with Bill Clinton. You know, you can make an argument about Hillary Clinton as well. Hang on one second. The Clinton Foundation was founded in 2001 by Bill and Hillary and Chelsea Clinton. They've raised over $2 billion over the years. The very first donation that they got that got the Clinton Foundation up and running was a $500,000. It was either $500,000 or a $5 million donation from Jeffrey Epstein. It was the very first donation that they got, which tells you how close they were before the Clinton Foundation even got started. I can't remember the number, but it was more than a dozen times that Jeffrey Epstein visited the White House while Bill Clinton was president. He was an official guest of the White House, you know, there in a suit and tie with signing his name in the guest registry book. Bill and Hillary Clinton had Jeffrey Epstein visit the White House on multiple occasions. And Jeffrey Epstein is the reason that the Clinton Foundation got off the ground in the first place in 2001. And in 2002, Bill Clinton wrote a little note in Jeffrey Epstein's birthday book. Yeah, burn them all. Every single one of them. I don't care what party they're in.